Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, and today I'm breaking from my usual content to make a video about celebrity drama. Not usually my style, but this is one that I've been particularly invested in since it all first kicked off, and I just really wanted to make a video about it. And if it's not your cup of tea, then I'm sure there'll be something else coming along soon that is. But for now, I just want you to come with me on a journey. So, if you were under the age of 17 in 2021, or just an adult perpetually stuck in your Disney Channel era like me, the chances are you heard about the Olivia Rodrigo, Joshua Bassett and Sabrina Carpenter love triangle. For a while, it seemed like the waves had calmed in this particular storm, but just last month, in July 2022, Sabrina Carpenter released her new album, Emails I Can't Send, and we got a new piece of the endless jigsaw puzzle that is this whole affair. Although I think it may have finally come to an end. But since we do have new information, I thought now would be a good time to go over the whole saga. A lot of people talked about it when it was going on at first, but a lot has happened since Driver's License came out back in January 2021. We are now 18 months on, and a lot has happened. So I think this is a good time to go over it all and really get into the meat of the drama, really dissect what exactly went on in this seemingly never-ending celebrity drama. So first of all, I just want to say, I genuinely like all three of the players in this triangle, and I think saying that you're on Liv's team or Sabrina's team is just a bit dumb, to be honest. I don't think anyone was right or wrong here. It just seems like a teenage girl experiencing her first serious relationship and her first proper heartbreak, whilst two adults in their 20s were trying to have a normal relationship, and then the media got involved and the fans got involved, and it all just became a bit volatile. Did everyone go about it the right way in the aftermath? No, definitely not. But they are artists, and artists use their relationships, their life experiences, their emotions to write their music. And if you're high profile, unfortunately, it ends up, when there's more than one artist involved, it becomes a bit of a back and forth. It becomes a public feud. Taylor Swift and Jonas, they both wrote songs about each other. You know, she wrote a song called Teardrops on My Guitar. He wrote a song with the line, I'm so done with superstars, and all the tears on her guitar. Miley Cyrus and Nick Jonas, Miley Cyrus's entire Meet Miley Cyrus album was about a relationship with Nick Jonas. Ed Sheeran and Nina Nesbitt is a really famous one because Ed wrote a whole song called Nina about Nina Nesbitt. And Nina, pretty much her entire Peroxide album was about Ed, so it's just kind of what happens when singer-songwriters date and then break up. It's kind of inevitable. So if you did miss this entire affair somehow, if you aren't an adult perpetually stuck in your Disney era, or you are not under the age of 17 and you missed the drama, I'll give you a brief rundown of who's involved. So first up, we've got Olivia Rodrigo, an actress who had her big breakthrough on Disney Channel's show Bizaardvark. And if that name rings a bell, it's because that was also the show that made Jake Paul famous. He played a character called Dirk. Yeah, the less said about that, the better. Olivia then went on to star in High School Musical, the series, which is the best show ever made. It's the best thing on Disney+. Everybody watch it. If you've never seen it, I'm telling you, you're missing out.
What? How do you guys know? Did Miss Jen tell you?
Sweetie, use your inside voice.
I'm Mexican and gay. This is my inside voice.
HSMTMTS is iconic. Olivia is currently 19 years old, but she was 17 years old when she released her debut single, Driver's License, which went on to be the best-selling song of 2021. It broke Spotify streaming records twice, and kicked off this entire debacle. Next up, we have Joshua Bassett. He is currently 21 years old, and he got his big break playing Olivia's on-off boyfriend Ricky in High School Musical, the series. He and Olivia reportedly dated from early 2019 to about June 2020-ish. Apparently, you can't play Troy Bolton and Gabriella Montez without falling in love and breaking up later. It's the songs, man. It's something about those damn songs. They're hypnotic. And finally, we have Sabrina Carpenter. She's currently 23 and she got her big break playing Maya Hart in Girl Meets World. She's since appeared in various movies. She was in that Tall Girl movie. She was in The Hate You Give. She's been in lots of things. And she's just released her 5th album, Emails I Can't Send. Her and Joshua reportedly started dating in about July 2020, just after Joshua's breakup with Olivia. So those are the players. That's who we've got in this drama. Generally speaking, the romantic lives of Disney kids haven't interested me since the Friends for Change era. But I'm a sucker for people having a public spat via song. And honestly, dissecting song lyrics and looking at drama through songs, you know, finding out where the disses are, piecing together the jigsaw, looking for people replying to people's specific lyrics, looking for references. I love that shit. Even just when it's one artist, you know, going through Taylor Swift's albums, looking for references to other, like, songs, trying to figure out who they're about, you know, really reading into the lyrics. It's like, is that about Jake Gyllenhaal? Is it about Harry Styles? That kind of shit. I love it. I love playing detective to people's music. So I really do live for this shit. And the sheer volume of songs involved in this whole fracas, it just makes it even better because there's so much to take in. And that's really why I'm here. I'm here not just to break down the drama, but to look specifically at the songs and look at their lyrics and look at just what we can learn from those song lyrics and why it all became so hostile. Because this wasn't just a little thing. This was bad. And it culminates with Sabrina's latest song, Because I Liked a Boy, which really does kind of say it all when it comes to just how nasty this whole situation got. But to understand where we got to, we need to go right back to the beginning. And it all started in January 2021. So on the 8th of January 2021, Olivia Rodrigo released her debut single, Driver's License. The concept behind the song is that Olivia has recently got her driver's license, which is something she and her ex, Joshua, always talked about. They discussed all the things they would do once Olivia could drive, but since the couple had already broken up by the time she passed her test, Olivia just finds herself sad because now all the plans she had for when she finally got her license have all gone and the whole thing just feels a bit hollow. She says that when she drives around, all she can do is think about him. You know, it just reminds her of all the times that they had. It's just a sad breakup song. The song immediately stormed the charts and it was everywhere. Like, you could not escape this song. People were making YouTube videos about it to try and analyse why this teenage girl's breakup piano ballad was so big and why people were so obsessed with it. Like, Todd in the Shadows did a video on it. Yeah, like, people were talking. But aside from the song's general popularity, conversation also swirled online about the lyrics and what they were talking about. Most of the song is just your standard post-breakup song. Things like, I still see your face in the white cars, front yards, can't drive past the places we used to go to because I still fucking love you, that kind of thing. But one particular verse stood out to people, and it's what sparked 18 months worth of drama. This one verse sparked 18 months of drama, and it was this. And you're probably with that blonde girl who always made me doubt. She's so much older than me. She's everything I'm insecure about. At this point, Joshua and Sabrina's relationship had been public knowledge for about 5 months. And since Sabrina is both blonde and 4 years older than Olivia, it didn't take great mental gymnastics to make the connection. Interestingly though, in a demo of the song that Olivia posted on Instagram in July 2020, the lyric was actually with that brunette, which is odd because Sabrina is a natural brunette, but she hasn't had brown hair since she was about 13. She dyed it blonde to be in Girl Meets World and has kept it that way ever since. But anyway, when the song released, it had changed to Blonde Girl. And whether it said brunette or blonde, it was about Sabrina. It wouldn't really have mattered. There were a lot of people that tried to come out and say like, oh, but originally it was brunette, so obviously it's not about Sabrina, but it was about Sabrina. Maybe she just wasn't, maybe in the demo she wasn't quite bold enough to say blonde girl, and by the time she'd actually released the record, she'd gained some confidence. I don't know. But it was about Sabrina. Like I say, the rest of the song was pretty much just about how much she misses her ex, and it wasn't really like... The rest of the song isn't about Sabrina, and it isn't really mean either. It isn't really about him leaving her. It's just about the fact that she misses him, she still loves him, she's sad. That kind of thing. And if this had been the only song that was released in January 2020 regarding this love triangle, people would probably have forgotten about the whole thing really quickly. But it wasn't, because 6 days later, on January 14th, Joshua released a single called Lie, Lie, Lie. So the opening verse of Lie, Lie, Lie is as follows. So they told me all the things that you said, running all over my name, and you're acting oh so innocent, like I'm the only one to blame. Right out the gate, it's obvious that this song was about a nasty breakup with someone who has been quite outspoken about you and the relationship. And since everyone had known since July 2020 that driver's license was coming, Joshua had plenty of time to pen his own song in response to what Olivia had been saying. Meaning that everyone assumed pretty much instantly that Lie, Lie, Lie was his response to driver's license. And the lyrics are far more scathing than anything Liv said in driver's license. Lyrics such as, "You've been lying to yourself, lie to everyone else, only thinking about yourself, darling, what the hell? I know what you say about me, I hope that it makes you happy. You can't seem to get me off your mind. I know you're lying through your teeth. You told them lies that you told me. I've had enough of it this time, so you can lie, 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 lie. Go ahead and try. It won't work this time. I kiss your ass goodbye, bye, bye, bye. I kiss your ass goodbye." So this was obviously a much harsher song than Olivia had released, and I think that probably helped get everyone invested, because everyone was kind of like, oh, like, look at Liv, like, that's quite bold, like, she's calling out Sabrina in her song. But mostly people were just like, this is a really good song. This was Olivia's debut single. She was 17 years old, and it was like, wow, this girl has released a really great song, and it's become, you know, it was super popular. It was a huge deal, and everyone was just really proud of this teenage girl for absolutely storming the charts with her very first song. But now that there's like a follow-up, like, response single from the boy who was, you know, the first song was about, now everyone was invested. You know, what the hell was going on with these two? Who really broke it off? Did Joshua cheat with Sabrina? Is Sabrina involved? Is Olivia lying and playing the victim like Joshua says? What is the truth? And whilst the gossip was spreading like wildfire across the internet, a third song entered the mix. On the 22nd of January 2021, so just to recap, we've had the 8th of January, the 14th of January, and now the 22nd of January. This has all happened within the space of 2 weeks. 14 days. Just bear that in mind. This song came out 2 weeks after driver's license. This has all happened in a fortnight. On the 22nd of January 2021, Sabrina Carpenter released a song called Skin, and everyone's ears pricked up the second they heard the opening lyrics. "Maybe we could have been friends if I'd met you in another life. Maybe then we could pretend there's no gravity in the words we write. Maybe you didn't mean it. Maybe blonde was the only rhyme." And that was when shit really hit the fan. Whilst people had loved Olivia's soft piano ballad about her teenage heartbreak, they were less receptive to the 21-year-old Sabrina writing a diss track seemingly directed towards a 17-year-old girl who was the ex of her current boyfriend. And whilst the song does end on a more positive note, the lyrics in general are quite fierce. The chorus goes, "You can try to get under my skin while he's on mine, all in my skin. I wish you knew that even you can't get under my skin if I don't let you in." Now, personally, I love this song. I think it's a bop. I remember a lot of people at the time saying it was like generic pop crap, it was not good, it wasn't as good as Driver's License, you shouldn't bother with it. I'm pretty sure Todd in the Shadow said that in his video. I think Mila Tequila said it in her video. I'm pretty sure most people said that like Skin was a crap song in comparison to Driver's License, but I love it. I don't think Sabrina's ever had a bad song. The girl releases straight bangers, but I can understand why people felt icky about it because it is quite harsh. But at the same time, I can also see why Sabrina felt annoyed. She's in her 20s trying to have an adult relationship with another person in his 20s, and a high schooler is releasing songs complaining about it. And that probably would get frustrating. And we don't know what was going on in their personal lives. We don't know if there was more shit being flung in person. You know, when Joshua says about, you know, how she's lying, you're running around, you know, throwing all that dirt in my name. We don't know if he means just from her songs or if, like, there's drama going on between the friend group. Obviously, Olivia and Josh have the same group of friends. They were on the same TV show. Sabrina's also a Disney kid. She's got probably in the same kind of general group as them. Maybe there was more drama in their personal lives, and maybe Sabrina had more reason to be angry than we knew. But I can also get why people felt it was a bit off, because at the end of the day, Olivia was a 17-year-old girl who seemed to have experienced her first real heartbreak. And Sabrina is 4 years older than her, an adult in her 20s who didn't seem to have any sympathy for this girl. But like I say, I think I can see both sides, and I love the song. So the song wasn't all nasty though. The final verse is, I just hope that one day we both can laugh about it. When it's not in our face, won't have to dance around it. Don't drive yourself insane, it won't always be this way. So between this and the whole maybe we could have been friends line, it sounds like Sabrina didn't really want the drama and she would have liked to have a friendship with Olivia, but she wants Olivia to leave her alone in terms of her relationship with Joshua. But because the song was antagonistic, a lot of people gave Sabrina hell for releasing it and for stealing Joshua. She was getting hate in her Twitter, people were talking shit about her, there was articles in the press. She was really getting branded as a hussy who stole a girl's boyfriend and then wrote a mean song about it. And it would be another 18 months before Sabrina came back to address that properly. But for now, it's January 2021, and we aren't quite finished with that month's drama yet, because Joshua had one more song to release before February rolled around. 6 days after Skin, so now 20 days from when Driver's License released, Joshua released a new single called Only a Matter of Time. And this song was also about a lying ex and included lyrics such as, look me in the eyes, tell me you're not lying to me, see through your disguise, you can't keep on hiding from me, and time to tell the world that you've been lying on my name, doing what you want and think you're gonna get away. And of course, the particularly scathing chorus. But it's only a matter of time, an eye for an eye, you'll go blind, and when did you stop being kind? You twisted your words like a knife. Well, I'm sure that you're hurting inside, but why would you make your pain mine? You're making me pay for your crimes, darling, I'll be fine. And once again, we're left wondering what the truth is. It's that age-old saying, there are 3 sides to every story, his, hers, and the truth. And Joshua's clearly hurt by what Olivia has been saying about him and asks in the song, are you glad that you got out? Which makes it sound as if she left him, even though Driver's License implies the opposite, that he left her. But as January turned to February, everyone started to move on and look for the next drama to engage with. And it seemed like the whole thing was over. We didn't really have any answers, we didn't know who broke up with who. Everyone was mad at Sabrina Carpenter. And there wasn't really anything else to look at, you know? Nothing happened in February, and everyone just slowly moved on. But then, Joshua released his self-titled EP in March. And once again, the drama reared its ugly head. The Joshua Bassett EP consisted of 6 songs, including Lie 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 and Only a Matter of Time. The final song on the EP, Heaven Is You, might be about Sabrina. It's a typical love song, and my only basis for why it might be is that Sabrina put up a post on Instagram calling it her favourite song on the record, and he replied, like, thank you, Sabrina. So it could be about her, or it could be about someone else entirely. I don't think it's about Olivia, but I don't know who it is about. But it's a nice little love song. But other than that, the remaining 3 songs in the album are almost certainly about Olivia, meaning that 5 out of the 6 songs on the EP are diss tracks about Olivia Rodrigo. The first new song was Sorry. Sorry is a song about a boy who messed up his relationship, and his ex, or his girlfriend, says that he'll be sorry that he left her. It feels like it's about Olivia, but I do have my doubts, since Joshua says in his previous songs that Olivia left him, and in this song she says like, you'll be sorry you left me. So it's like, it's the wrong way around. But then it could be referring to an argument that happened like before they broke up. Like if they were arguing, maybe she said like, oh, you'd be sorry if you left me. I don't know. It's hard to say. It could also be his breakup with Sabrina. We just don't know. Sorry is the only one that I'm a bit dubious about in terms of who it might actually be directed to, because it definitely feels like Sabrina, but I have my doubts. But the next song, Do It All Again, I think probably is about Sabrina. It's very similar. It's about a boy who messed up his relationship because he was still learning how to love, but he would do it all again because it was worth it for the times that they had, that they were happy. It includes the lines, and we weren't perfect, but you were worth it all. And it feels like that could be a reference to the line from Driver's License that says, I know we weren't perfect. They both say we weren't perfect. It also features lines like, I'm not yet used to only being friends, this hurts too much to hide. And I couldn't blame you for putting yourself first. Which sounds like a song about the girl leaving the relationship. And I feel like, I'm not used to only being friends kind of might suggest, it might be talking about like them working together on High School Musical, the musical, the series, because they still had to play like a couple on the show, even though they were broken up in real life. And I suppose they would have had to try and become friends, especially for their own friends' benefit, because like, nobody, in Driver's License, Olivia has a line that she says like, all my friends are tired of hearing how much I miss you. So I feel like, their friends on the show probably didn't want to have to listen to their drama all day. So it feels like this one is about Olivia, and it does sound once again like she left the relationship, because he says, I couldn't blame you for putting yourself first. Telling Myself is a harsher song than the previous two, more in line with Lie, Lie, Lie in Only a Matter of Time. And this one I would say is 100% about Olivia. It's a song where he basically accuses her of acting innocent when she also had fault in the relationship going south. But he also says in the song that he knew things were bad and that they were only pretending to be happy. The chorus goes, I keep on telling myself we had something good. Did we stay together longer than we should? Were we just playing pretend because we could? Was it really that good? I keep on telling myself it's not what it was. Did we just want to believe that this was love? Was it really worth the trouble that it caused? Look where we ended up. So it sounds like during the relationship, Joshua was starting to think that they weren't really in love and that they were just together because they were, I've been there in a relationship in my past where it was like, we are so unhappy, but you just kind of become stuck in it because you're like, what else am I gonna do? It doesn't really occur to you like, maybe I should just end this relationship, because you're like, well, like, I'm here, I might as well. It's a very odd situation. So I get where he's coming from. And by that last line where it's like, was it really worth the trouble it caused? Look where we ended up. It feels like it's talking about the drama that's came out since the relationship. That being said, at this point, Olivia only had one song. Joshua has now released 6 songs about the breakup. Olivia's only released 1. So that's maybe a bit rich, being like, was it worth the trouble it's caused? Because, like, son, you're the only one talking about the trouble right now. She's gone quiet. But to be fair, she did have a whole album coming, so maybe he was preempting it. One of the other verses includes the lyrics, don't pretend, you're all of a sudden innocent, my darling, how could you forget? the first half of the story now. So again, he's accusing her of acting innocent when she's actually like at fault, and you know, that what she's saying isn't the whole story. But then he goes on to say that he wouldn't change a thing. Things went quiet again for a few weeks, and to be honest, not a lot of people actually took notice of Joshua's EP. He just isn't, you know, he hadn't got the fame that Olivia had off the back of Driver's License, and he didn't have the, like, already established fame of Sabrina Carpenter. So not everybody actually got to hear any of these songs, but the drama certainly resurfaced properly when Olivia's much anticipated second single came out on the 1st of April 2021. Whilst Joshua had 5 songs out since the release of Driver's License, Lie 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 and Skin, none of them had really hit the public consciousness the way that those 3 songs had. So Deja Vu was the next big hitter in the Love Triangle saga. Lyrically, Deja Vu is about when you see your ex doing the same things with their new partner that they used to do with you and wondering if they get deja vu. Personally, Deja Vu is one of my least favourites on Olivia's Sour album, just because I find the lyrics a bit comical. That sounds really bad, but let me explain. It's a bop, don't get me wrong, and when it comes on, I jam and I sing along at the top of my lungs, you know, I'm all like, I bet you get deja vu! But you can just kind of tell that a teenager wrote it. The fact that your ex does the same things with a new partner that they did with you is something that you just kind of become used to as an adult. My boyfriend once went to see a particular artist at the Glasgow Concert Hall with his ex, and they went to Bella Italia on Sauchiehall Street before it and had pasta before the show started. And then years later, that same artist came back to the Glasgow Concert Hall, and I love Bella Italia, so we went to the same Bella Italia on Sauchiehall Street before we went to the show. So, like, you know, I didn't sit there the whole time thinking, man, he did this before with his ex, because it's like, it's a normal thing to do, is go to a concert, and I like Italian, so I wasn't going to not go to Bella Italia because I knew that he'd been there with his ex. Like, it's quite normal. That's quite a normal thing to happen. Like, if you're with, you know, people tend to gravitate towards people that have the same interests as them, so you do end up doing the same things. That's just kind of how life works, I'm afraid. And I did kind of feel like, you know, she's like, you know, everything's all reused, you know, she thinks it's special, but it's all reused, is what she says. It's like, driving and eating strawberry ice cream is not a unique experience. I'm really sorry, Olivia. Like, if he's driving around eating ice cream with his new girlfriend, I'm sorry, that's quite a normal thing for people to do. I don't mean to be mean, I just think this song just kind of, when it came out, I was a bit like, oh, Liv, darling, oh, honey, don't worry, like, it gets better. It gets better. You, in a few years' time, you will not worry about these things anymore, because you'll get there, don't worry. Also, the line. There's a line in this song. Also, just to say, I don't live in Glasgow, before anyone thinks I just doxed myself. We were in Glasgow specifically for the concert. That doesn't reveal anything about me other than the fact that I live in Scotland, because everything happens in Glasgow. So regardless of where you live in Scotland, if somebody's coming to do a concert, you're going to end up in Glasgow. Anyway, yeah, the other line in this song that really does make me laugh is the line, I bet that she knows Billy Joel because you played her Uptown Girl. That line cracks me up every time. Liv, if you're watching this, I love you to bits, honestly I do. But Billy Joel isn't exactly an unknown indie underground artist. He's currently ranked between Bruce Springsteen and Ed Sheeran in the best-selling artist list on Wikipedia. The man's a legend. I don't think Sabrina only knows Billy Joel because Joshua played her Uptown Girl. I think she probably knew who Billy Joel was before then. Anyway, moving on from my personal gripes with Deja Vu, let's talk about how it fits into the drama. So this song once again references Sabrina Carpenter with the lines, do you call her and almost say my name, because let's be honest, we kinda do sound the same. Another actress, I hate to think that I was just your type. Sabrina is obviously an actress, and her and Olivia actually do have quite similar, very low tone voices. Like, for girls, they have quite low tone, kind of guttural voices. So they probably do sound quite similar on the phone. So when this song came out, all eyes were back on the love triangle, because now everybody was, people who hadn't paid attention since Skin had come back in, because they're like, oh shit, she's talking about Sabrina again. I forgot about that drama. Let's see what happens with the next single. And sure enough, 1 month later, Olivia released her best and most angry song to date. I bloody love Good For You. I won't lie. It's the modern day misery business. It's you ought to know for the 21st century. It's a great song. The song is all about Olivia's ex looking happy and healthy and having a great time while she spends the night crying on the floor of her bathroom. The song is rocky and aggressive and fully bites back at all the harsh lyrics that Josh has thrown at her over the past few months. The opening lines are, well, good for you, I guess you moved on really easily. You found a new girl and it only took a couple of weeks. Remember when you said that you wanted to give me the world? And good for you, I guess that you've been working on yourself. I guess that therapist I found for you, she really helped. And now you can be a better man for your brand new girl. The girl in question is obviously Sabrina Carpenter. The working on yourself line is also clearly about Joshua, because in a later song called Enough For You, Olivia mentions reading all of his self-help books so he'd think that she was smart. So he's obviously been trying to improve himself for some time, and sure enough, he has a song that comes out quite a bit later where he mentions working on himself. Like, he uses those exact words as well. And he's spoken about it in an interview and stuff as well, about him, trying to kind of improve himself. Like, what's the word? Just like in terms of his not just mental health, but like general kind of well-being. And he'd been like trying to make himself feel better. So that's what that's referring to, which means that the song is, as if there was any doubt, but the song is definitely about Joshua and Sabrina again. The chorus goes, well, good for you, you look happy and healthy, not me, if you ever cared to ask. Good for you, you're doing great out there without me, baby. God, I wish that I could do that. I've lost my mind, I've spent the night crying on the floor of my bathroom, but you're so unaffected, I really don't get it, but I guess good for you. And the next verse begins with the lines, good for you, I guess you're getting everything you want. You bought a new car and your career's really taken off. So presumably she's talking about Joshua's music career launching immediately after her own, and maybe the fact that he was piggybacking, I guess, his first big single was a response to her first big single, so maybe like, your career's taken off the back of mine. And the whole thing about a new car might also be a kind of resentment about him getting rid of the car that they drove around in before she got her driver's license. I could be reading too much into that, but I think it's probably a valuable thing. And of course, the chorus doesn't really tell us anything in particular other than the girl is raging. She's so angry, and she thinks that Joshua doesn't care. She thinks that he seems fine, doesn't seem to be particularly bothered about them breaking up, while she's absolutely miserable, and she doesn't understand it. The song was harsh, but it was also totally out of left field compared to her previous singles, and left everyone very excited for what the full album would bring. And a week later, we would all find out when Sour released on 21st of May, 2021. Now, not every song on Sour was about the love triangle drama. Well, 3 of them weren't, the other 8 were. And the first new song we had was the second track on the album, called Traitor. And it opens up with a clear reference to the Joshua and Sabrina drama. Brown guilty eyes and little white lies. I played dumb, but I always knew that you talked to her, maybe did even worse. I kept quiet so I could keep you. Of course, Joshua has brown eyes, and there's a girl he's talking to. A girl that, according to Good For You, he moved on with only 2 weeks after breaking up with Olivia. And she goes on to confirm that that would be the same girl in the next verse. Ain't it funny how you ran to her the second that we called it quits? And ain't it funny how you said you were friends? Now it sure as hell don't look like it. So, you ran to her the second we called it quits. Clearly, it's about Sabrina. And again in the chorus, she actually mentions specifically the 2 weeks thing, the same thing that she mentioned in Good For You. You betrayed me, and I know that you'll never feel sorry for the way that I hurt. You talked to her when we were together, loved you at your worst, but that didn't matter. It took you 2 weeks to go off and date her. Guess you didn't cheat, but you're still a traitor. So the song is all about how Olivia had concerns about Sabrina before her and Joshua broke up, but Joshua told her that she was paranoid. There's a line where she says, remember when I brought her up and you told me that I was paranoid. And now, of course, they are together, Joshua and Sabrina, and she feels betrayed because even though he didn't cheat, she feels like he wasn't actually invested in the relationship, because basically she feels like she was being cheated on in retrospect, because she realizes now that Joshua wanted to be with Sabrina even when he was still with her. So he didn't cheat, but she still feels betrayed, is what she's saying. The next new track is One Step Forward, Three Steps Back, which introduces the idea that Olivia's relationship with Joshua was somewhat toxic and negatively affecting her. And of course, Joshua's already said in his song Telling Myself that he thought that they weren't really happy in their relationship, that there was actually more issues than they had cared to admit. And this seems to be the case in One Step Forward, because she's talking about the relationship making her unhappy. Olivia's mentioned multiple times throughout the album about her low self-esteem. The very first song on the album, Brutal, has a whole verse that says, I only have 2 real friends, and lately I'm a nervous wreck, and I love people I don't like, and I hate every song I write, and I'm not cool, and I'm not smart, and I can't even parallel park. So she's obviously got low self-esteem issues. She's also written a whole song called Jealousy on the album, which is all about how she constantly compares herself to other girls and feels like she's inferior, and how she shouldn't do that, but she can't help it. And to be fair to her, your boyfriend leaving you for a woman 4 years older than you when you're only 17 is probably a huge knock to your confidence. Like, I can understand why she feels bad. That would be a kick in the teeth. It really would. So she talks again about her low self-esteem on this track, but specifically about how she felt low about herself in her relationship with Joshua. So she says, never doubted myself so much. Like, am I pretty? Am I fun boy? I hate that I give you power over that kind of stuff. And as well as in the chorus, she says, it's always 1 step forward and 3 steps back. I'm the love of your life until I make you mad. It's always 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Do you love me, want me, hate me? Boy, I don't understand. So it's clear that their relationship had become difficult, and she was caught in that kind of, I don't like to use the word abuse, but the cycle of abuse. I don't think it was intentional abuse from Joshua, I'm not saying that, but I guess a cycle of toxicity, if you like. Toxic is not abuse. Toxic is just something that has gone very wrong and is continually making itself worse just by its existence. And I felt like this in my previous relationship, so I completely understand where she's coming from, and this song really hits close to home for me, because it was definitely a cycle of toxicity, and feeling incredibly shit about yourself because the person you're with acts as if you don't exist, and then they try and make it up to you, and they promise they'll be better, and you feel good for like 5 minutes, and then the next day they go back to being a shithead, and you're like, and you just slowly drive yourself mad. So I completely understand how she feels, and if she felt like that in a relationship, then no wonder she's having such a hard time moving on from it, because that shit stays with you. That shit stays with you. That shit stayed with me for years. I'd forgotten the boy, but the feelings and the, you know, the emotional, residual emotions were still there, if that makes sense. But what it does also show, this particular song, is that there were far more issues in the relationship than just the fact that Joshua had left her for Sabrina. There was already a lot of tension in that relationship before that happened, before they broke up, before Sabrina entered the picture. And that does shine more light on why Olivia was reacting so badly to the breakup, because clearly she'd already been going through quite a lot of emotional trauma before the breakup. The next new song continues this idea about the toxic relationship. It's a song called Enough For You, and it is also absolutely heartbreaking. It's all about how Olivia feels like she's lost herself from the trauma, the difficulty she had with Joshua, the struggle that she had to try and keep him has now left her feeling like she's lost who she really is. In one of the lines she says, "I knew how you took your coffee and your favourite songs by heart," which actually confirms a line from Joshua's earlier song, Sorry, because he said in his song, she knew the words to every song he'd ever sung. And now she's saying, "I knew all your favourite songs by heart." So that seems to confirm that Sorry was about Olivia. She then goes on to say, "I say you broke my heart, but you broke much more than that. Now I don't want your sympathy, I just want myself back." So what she's saying here is that it's not just about the breakup. It's not that she's just feeling sad because her boyfriend dumped her. It's about how she feels the impact that that relationship has had on her and how it's affecting her now as a person. Because she's saying that she's lost herself. She wants herself back. And sure enough, the opening verse of this song is, "I wore makeup when we dated because I thought you'd like me more if I looked like the other prom queens that I know you'd loved before. I tried so hard to be everything that you liked just for you to say you're not the compliment type." So what she's saying is, you know, she changed aspects of herself to be what he wanted, and now that he's gone, she's forgotten who she was before. She's forgotten who she was when she wasn't trying to be his perfect woman. And that is also something that I understand, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Girls, don't change yourself for a boy because they aren't worth it. And this is what happens when you break up and you realise that now you've forgotten who you are and you just end up wallowing in this kind of mess of trying to figure out who you used to be before you try to be their person. The person that you're meant to be with will love you exactly how you are. And they won't need you to wear makeup and be like prom queens. They don't need you to change. They will love you exactly how you are. And if they don't, kick them to the curb. Because fuck them. Not worth it. She concludes the song with the lines, "You always say I'm never satisfied, but I don't think that's true. You say I'm never satisfied, but that's not me, it's you. Because all I ever wanted was to be enough, but I don't think anything could ever be enough for you." So, you know, what she's saying is that, you know, she tried through the whole relationship to be enough for him, and he still left her. So now she doesn't really know what to do because she clearly wasn't enough for him. But then she's obviously, at the end of the song, realising that that wasn't her fault. It's because she was never going to be enough for him, because nothing is enough for him. She follows up with a song called Happier, which is a more kind of apologetic and positive song that even acknowledges that she's been too hard on Sabrina. One of the verses says, "And now I'm picking her apart, like cutting her down will make you miss my wretched heart, but she's beautiful, she looks kind, she probably gives you butterflies." So it seems like she's saying, like, I can understand why you're with Sabrina, and you know, I shouldn't have been trying to cut her down just to make you remember me or to think about me, because she's done nothing wrong, basically, is what she's saying there. And in the chorus, she wishes Joshua well, although she hopes that he was still happier with her. And she says, "I hope you're happy, but not like how you were with me. I'm selfish, I know. I can't let you go. So find someone great, but don't find no one better. I hope you're happy. I wish you all the best, really. Say you love her, baby, but not like you love me. And think of me fondly when your hands are on her. I hope you're happy, but don't be happier." So again, she's wishing him well, but not too well. She hopes that he's happy, but not too happy, because she wishes that he was happier with her. The penultimate song on the album, and the last one that Olivia has released about Joshua to date, is called Favourite Crime. Olivia said that this song is about forgiveness, and that kind of makes sense because it's the last song. The last song on the album is Hope You're Okay, which isn't about Joshua, it's a completely different song. So this is the last song that she's released about Joshua, and it feels as if there is sort of a story. Like, she's kind of put them in order on the album. Like, she starts off with Traitor, which is a song about, you know, how she realised towards the end of the relationship that he liked another girl. And then there's Good For You, which is about her. Then there's Deja Vu, which is about when they broke up. There's Driver's License and Good For You, which are all about when they broke up. Then there's her talking about how it's affected her and one step forward, 3 steps back, and enough for you. And then in Happier, she's kind of starting to accept that he's left and saying, like, I hope you're happy, but don't be happier. And then in Favourite Crime, she's finally forgiving him for what's happened. And as she says, it's not just about forgiving him, because she says in an interview, she said that in a breakup, you need to forgive the other person, but you also need to forgive yourself for the way that you acted and the person that you became. And that's what she says Favourite Crime is about. Not about just forgiving them, but about forgiving yourself. So it feels as if she's come full circle on the album. She started out angry and upset, and then she started to move into being introspective, and then starting to accept what had happened, and starting to say that she wanted him to move on, and then finally saying that she forgives him and she forgives herself. Which is very clever, considering she's only 17. She put together an absolutely banging album, and she did really well to tell that story, to thread that story through the album. The chorus in Favourite Crime says, "The things I did just so I could call you mine, the things you did, well, I hope I was your favourite crime." So here she's acknowledging that they both made mistakes. You know, she's saying, like, the things I did, the things you did, but I hope that I was your favourite crime. You know, we messed up, but I hope that at least you look back on it fondly. And she ended up going on to actually, like, echo Joshua's sentiment. She quotes him directly. She says, "And now every time a siren sounds, I wonder if you're around, because you know that I'd do it all again." And of course, remember earlier on the EP, he released a song called Do It All Again, about how even though the relationship was messy, it was worth it, and he would do it all again. And she's saying here, you know, I'd do it all again. So it seems as if she's made peace. And the very end of the song, it does sound as if that is what's happened. And because she's saying, no, I'd do it again, he's saying he'd do it again, it sounds as if we're coming towards some kind of mutual peace. And the kind of final bridge, she says, "Everything we broke and all the trouble we made, but I say that I hate you with a smile on my face. Oh, look what we became." Which makes it sound as if she's, you know, looking at everything that's happened, and she's still saying, like, I hate you, but she's saying it with a smile. You know, she doesn't mean it anymore, that it's tongue-in-cheek, that she's moved on, that she's not actually angry anymore. She's like, I hate you, but she doesn't really. And she concludes the song with the lines, "I hope I was your favourite crime, because baby, you were mine." So it seemed then that after all the drama, after all these songs, a whole album, Olivia had processed her feelings and was ready to move on with a smile on her face. Season 2 of High School Musical, the musical, the series, had released the week before Sour, and it seemed like everything was just trucking along nicely. The storm had passed, and everyone could just carry on with their lives and put this whole thing behind them. But then it turned out there was more going on behind the scenes than we'd ever realised, and it all came out when Joshua did an interview with GQ in June of 2021. And he revealed that on January 14th, the day that Lie 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 released, he'd actually been taken into hospital in unimaginable pain, which turned out to be septic shock and heart failure. Now, just to clarify, I wasn't sure what the difference is between sepsis and septic shock, but septic shock is the most severe form of sepsis. So sepsis is bad. Septic shock is when you're dying. Septic shock is the really life-threatening, you're going to die part. So septic shock and heart failure is bad. Very, very bad. And again, also, I do know this from watching too many medical shows. Heart attacks are a bad thing, but generally speaking, can be rectified. Heart failure, you don't want that. Heart failure is something you don't want to get, as far as I'm aware. Joshua stated in the interview that the doctors told him that he had a 30% chance of survival. He said, "They told me that if I had not checked into the hospital within 12 hours, I would have been found dead in my apartment." And he said that he felt stress probably played a part in it because he became unwell at first, only 2 days after driver's license released. And the whole thing made the whole "you look happy and healthy" line from Good For You just feel a lot harsher in hindsight, because anytime I listen to that song now, I'm like, I remember actually when I saw this article hit the internet at the time, and it said, like, you know, Joshua Bassett, quotes, "Doctor said I had a 30% chance of survival." I was just like, oh god, you did not look happy and healthy then. What was she talking about? And I mean, I'm pretty sure she didn't know he was that ill, but like, when you think about it, it's just like, oh, he was not happy and healthy, you know. And she's like, I'm crying on the floor of my bathroom. And I'm like, to be honest, I think crying on the floor of your bathroom probably isn't as bad as getting septic shock and going into heart failure. I know which one I'd rather have. Joshua also said in the interview that the hardest thing has been biting my tongue in a lot of ways, but the reality is it's kind of like a lost cause trying to talk about any of that stuff, and I refuse to feed into any of the bullshit, so I just don't. But despite this, Joshua went on to surprise us all with 3 more songs on the 3rd of December 2021, all, once again, about Olivia. Saying that, Joshua did acknowledge that he hadn't wanted to talk about the relationship in the first verse of the first song, Crisis. He says, my label said to never waste a crisis, and here I am, guitar in my hand, in the middle of one, and honestly, I didn't want to write this, don't know if I can, still holding back, still want to run. In the pre-chorus, he actually references Sabrina's song Skin, because he says, and if you get to tell your truth, then so do I. Which really mirrors Sabrina's lyric, you've been telling your side, so I'll be telling mine. And is somewhat reminiscent of the other line in the song that says, you've been telling it how you see it, like truth is whatever you decide. The chorus of Crisis is particularly scathing. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, like that is harsh. He says, but don't you dare act like I didn't love you. Don't go thinking that I didn't hurt too. Do you ever wonder if I'm okay after all you put me through? Which seems to relate to Good For You. You know, she said in the song that he's so unaffected, but he's saying here that he obviously was affected, and, you know, and Good For You, she's like, you know, not me if you ever cared to ask. And, you know, he's kind of saying here that you haven't asked me either. He's saying, you know, do you ever wonder if I'm okay? And he's saying, you're saying I didn't ask you, but you haven't asked me if I'm okay either. And he's also said in an interview that Olivia never spoke to him again after driver's license, so they haven't had any actual human communication about this whole thing. They're communicating entirely by song at this point. It's like communicating through your divorce lawyer, but on a much more public and musical scale. The chorus then continues, half the shit you're saying's only half true. Messing with my life is a career move. I can't help but wonder why you won't make it end. Guess you would never dare to waste a crisis. So Joshua's obviously saying that him being the subject of like almost the entire Sour album was Olivia using him to further her career. You know, the fact that her first big single was directly calling out him and his new girlfriend. He's kind of saying, you know, that you've been messing with my life, you've been making my life difficult to further your own music career. And he's not happy, and he's saying, why won't you make it end? You know, why are you still doing this? Why can't you let this lie so that I can go back to living my life? Is pretty much what he's saying here. And then that really harsh line, you would never dare to waste a crisis. Oh, like I said, the first time I heard this, I was just like, oh shit. But the saddest line of all is definitely this one. My mama called because she heard I got death threats. What the hell am I supposed to do with that? So in an interview with GQ, Joshua said, I would see TikToks with like 50 million views and 10 million likes saying, if I ever see that kid on the street, I'm going to fucking kill him. It's so hard to see that and then be living in New York and walking down the street. So yeah, he's saying that, you know, he was getting death threats, which were true. I saw them. So was Sabrina. People were hurling so much abuse at them for breaking Olivia's heart. And, you know, he's saying that his mom actually ended up calling him because, you know, she's been hearing that he's getting death threats. And as he says, you know, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say to my mom about me getting death threats? Like, how am I supposed to deal with that situation? It's not something anybody would ever want to have to deal with. So, yeah, this song is dark. It really is. He then also goes on to reiterate once again that Olivia was the one that left him. And he actually kind of seems to be acknowledging the fact that she isn't saying that in her songs. Because he says, he's posing it as a question. He's going, weren't you the one who left in the first place? Weren't you the one who called things off? Was it an act to love me or an act to hate me? So, you know, he's saying to her, like, why do you keep saying that I'm the one that called it off? It was you. And were you acting when we were together? Or are you acting now as a way to release songs? What's the truth? Do you hate me? What's the deal? So that song was pretty dark. The next song on the 3-track record is Secret, and it's also an angry track. And for the first time in this whole debacle, Joshua actually accuses Olivia of having someone else on the side as well. Because he says, "Swore that you only had a crush. You told me that you would cut him off. I should have seen it coming then." So at first I thought this song wasn't about Olivia, because I was like, oh, well, she didn't have someone else on the side. Like, that was him. So this must be about someone else. But later lyrics in the song confirm it definitely is about Olivia, because he says, "I really hope you had your fun. Good for you, fooling everyone. You had me tricked for 16 months. Now, obviously, Good for You is Olivia's song about Josh, and we know that they dated for just under a year and a half. They dated from early 2019 through to about June 2020. So that would be 16 months. So unless he had another 16-month relationship before Olivia, because he wouldn't have had time really after Olivia. Well, he could have, but no, he wouldn't have been able to. No, actually, he wouldn't have been able to. He wouldn't have been able to fit in a 16-month relationship after Olivia because of his relationship with Sabrina. So, yeah, it had to be about Olivia. And later he says, and this seems to be pretty damning, "When Woe Is Me stops working, I bet your songs won't sound the same." And considering she just released a whole album about him, I think we can quite safely say that this particularly harsh little song is him calling out Sabrina. Quite forcefully calling her out as well. You know, saying, you had someone else, you were fooling me for 16 months, you're using Woe Is Me techniques to release songs. It's scathing. It's harsh. The final song on this little record is Set Me Free, and it's a sadder song focusing on what Joshua's gone through since Olivia released Driver's License, but also it does have him acknowledging what she's been through. And ultimately he says he just wants to put it all behind him. So the lyrics go, "I don't know what I did to deserve all of this. I don't want to be rude or on the defensive, but I've been going through it too. I know you feel used. I know you've been hurt. Anything I did to make it worse, I'd take it all back if I could. And nothing I say will ease the pain. Why must I hurt for you to feel okay?" So as you can see, he's saying that, like, I know you've been hurt. I'm also hurt. I would take it back if I could, but I really need you to stop using your pain to make me feel worse, because, like, we're not getting anywhere here. In the second verse, he refers back to his songs Ellie and Crisis. He's got a line that says, "I've been running away, I've been facing my fears." And in Ellie, he says, "I just gotta get out of Ellie, I've been thinking of running away." So, running away. And then he says, "Tell my mama I'm okay while I'm holding back tears," which seems to be a response to when his mum said to him about the death threats, and he says he's okay while holding back tears. And this is the song where he mentions that he's been working on himself, which is, he says, "I've been working on me." So, as Olivia said in her song, that you've been working on yourself. He says, "I've been working on me," and then goes on to talk about his health issues, the heart failure thing. He says, "Wasn't sure I'd survive, never felt so weak, and nothing really seemed to help it." So obviously he's talking about what he went through when he had the heart failure. And in the bridge, he says he still cares about Olivia, but he won't let her hurt him ever again. He says, "I hope you know that I still care about you dearly, but I've got to lock the door and throw away the key. And I hope you know that I still care about you, darling. I won't ever let you hurt me how you hurt me ever again." And so for a while that was it. Everything was quiet, Olivia was touring and playing Glasgow, and Sabrina was working on her new album, and Joshua was doing some other Disney Plus movies and stuff. But then, just last month, on the 15th of July, 2022, we got the latest episode of the saga. And it came from the girl who had been particularly quiet. You'll notice that up until now, Sabrina only had one song in all of this drama. But Sabrina came back to set the record straight about some things. With her new single, Because I Liked a Boy. Sabrina said that Emails I Can't Send would be her most personal album yet, and it definitely is. It opens with a song directed towards her father who cheated on her mum and telling him to fix the mess he created. So you can already tell the album's going to have some home truths on it. But everyone was really intrigued about one track in particular, Because I Liked a Boy. Because the rumour was that it was going to address the love triangle. And we are all drama-starved assholes when it comes to this whole affair. Because I Liked a Boy isn't directed towards Olivia the way that Skin was. In fact, it's actually aimed at the stans and the media outlets who sent hate to her after Driver's License came out. And it's basically her telling them, one, it was a shitty thing to do, and two, it was kind of pointless because actually, as we'll find out, it was never going to achieve anything. And she's right. But let's talk about it. She starts the song talking about how her and Joshua's relationship began. She says, I said I wanted Thin Mints, and you said you knew a guy. You showed up with a boombox and stars in your eyes. Who knew that cuddling on trampolines could be so reckless? We bonded over black eyed peas and complicated exes. Fell so deeply into it, it was all so innocent. So it starts out as this really sweet love song, you know, she's talking about the nice things that they used to do when they were together, the things that they bonded over, you know, cuddling on trampolines, and then says it was also innocent. And then in this really harsh juxtaposition, she goes into the chorus, which goes, now I'm a home wrecker, I'm a slut, I've got death threats filling up semi-trucks, tell me who I am, guess I don't have a choice, all because I liked, I'm the hot topic on your tongue, I'm a rebound getting round, stealing from the young, tell me who I am, guess I don't have a choice, all because I liked a boy. So Sabrina's clearly talking about what she went through in that time that the love triangle was the talk of the town. People were calling her a homewrecker and a slut and saying that she stole Joshua and that she broke Olivia's heart and that she was being so mean to this like teenage girl. You know, she shouldn't have stolen Joshua from her. Joshua and Olivia were meant to be together because they were the Troy and the Gabriella of the new age. And she was just an old bitch who was coming in and stealing the boyfriend off of a young girl. You know, why can't you find someone your own age? He's only 20 and you're like 22. Stop stealing him. This was the rhetoric. And it's particularly clear in the line where she says, I'm a rebound getting round stealing from the young. So getting around, if you don't know, is a slang term for someone having a lot of sex with a lot of different people. See Ginny Gets Around from a Harry Potter musical. And stealing from the young obviously refers to the age gap between Sabrina and Olivia and how people said she was cruel for releasing Skin about someone so much younger than her. And the fact that she apparently stole her boyfriend. Now, to go on my soapbox for a minute, because I never do that, I have a real issue with the term stealing someone's boyfriend, girlfriend, partner. You cannot steal a human being. You cannot steal a human being. This is not a thing, okay? We need to throw this whole concept in the bin. You cannot steal a human being. You can kidnap a human being. You can't steal someone's boyfriend. You can't steal someone's girlfriend. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. People have free will. And if someone leaves you for someone else, that other person did not steal them. Your partner left you. And the person you should be directing your anger at is your partner for dumping you. Your ex-partner for dumping you. I'm sorry, but that's the truth, okay? Like, the other woman is not the one who broke up your relationship. Your husband broke up your relationship. Angelina Jolie is not the one who broke up Brad and Jennifer. Brad is the one who broke up Brad and Jennifer. Like, and this isn't just because I'm a stan of Angelina Jolie. This is a genuine thing that I just get really angry at. Like, it's not a thing. Yes, people shouldn't go around flirting with people who are in relationships. I think we can all agree that Mia in Love Actually was being a bit of a tart when she kept, you know, spreading her legs for Harry and whatever. But that, she was a single girl flirting with a man who, yes, was married, but she was just flirting with him. The onus was not on her to not break up that marriage. The onus was on him to not break up that marriage. The person who fucked up that marriage is Harry. Because no matter how much flirting and leg spreading Mia did, Harry did not need to go to the department store and buy a gold necklace and give it to Mia for Christmas and give his wife a Joni Mitchell CD. He didn't need to do that. She did not steal Harry from Karen. Harry was a bad husband who cheated on his wife with a young lassie from his work. she still was not the most morally sound person in the world for flirting with a married man, but she's not the villain. He is. And I know we all hate her, but she's not the villain. He is. The people who break up your relationship, it's not the one who stole them, it's the one who left you. And if they truly loved you and they truly had faith in that relationship and they were truly the one, they wouldn't have left. The fact that they did means that they weren't for you and you need to move on, because clearly they're not good enough for you. They're a dick. Move on. Find someone better who doesn't cheat on you. Find someone who doesn't give you Joni Mitchell CDs for Christmas. That is my soapbox. I've said my piece. Let's move on. In the next verse of the song, Sabrina actually refers specifically to Joshua's health issues. She says, "I'm not catastrophizing, everything's derailing, was only trying to hold you close while your heart was failing." So quite clearly she's talking about his heart failure, you know, your heart is failing. And then she says, "It's not internet illusion, just two kids going through it." And this is probably referring to the fact that at the time, no one had actually ever confirmed that Joshua and Sabrina were together in the first place. So she's saying here that the thing, they were together, it wasn't speculation, but it was about them, you know, it wasn't what people were saying it was online. The speculation that they were a couple was right, but all the things that people were saying about them weren't. They were just two kids going through it. And in the final bridge, she says, "Dating boys with exes, no, I wouldn't recommend it." So she's obviously clearly talking about what happens when you've got an ex, or when the person you're with has an ex who has a record contract. You end up with an album of songs written about you, and how she's saying, you know what? Nah, don't do that. It's not worth it. And in the final chorus, she actually reveals something quite sad that none of us knew until this song came out. And I think pretty much everyone was like, oh, when we heard this line, like I definitely did. I was like, oh no. She says, "And all of this for what? When everything went down, we'd already broken up." So what she's saying is that by the time the drama started, by the time that Driver's License, well, probably not Driver's License actually, because he didn't get ill until after that, but by the time that the drama was on everybody's tongues, as in January 2021, by the time everyone was hurling abuse at her, sending her death threats, saying that she was a bitch and a slut, and sending death threats to Joshua, by the time all that happened, their relationship was over. It had already ended. So it was pointless. Like, people tweeting her being like, "You're awful, you stole Joshua." Like, the relationship was already over. So, like, it wasn't as if them tweeting her was going to end the relationship. It was already done. So it was just cruel. It was just cruelty for the sake of being cruel. It didn't achieve anything. And that, my friends, is where we are now. We've caught up. But actually, and when I started writing this, right? When I started writing this, it was purely because I was like, oh, I want to make a video documenting everything that's happened now that we've got what may or may not be the last song, at least the most recent song in the saga. But actually there has been a minor development in the days since I started writing the script, which means that my story actually ends with a happy ending, which is really nice. So let me explain. So where we're at now, Sabrina's album, Emails I Can't Send, has debuted at number 23 on the Billboard Top 200. It's absolutely great. It's a great album. I'm loving it. Her fans are buzzing. She's having a great time. Olivia has gone on her Sour tour. She's now back. Got her own Disney Channel, Disney Plus documentary, and she was named Woman of the Year by Billboard last year. So she's having a great time. Don't know quite what she's doing at this very point in time, but probably something with her music. And Joshua's starring in season 3 of High School Musical, the musical, the series, which just started airing the other day. So, and he's going to be embarking on his very first headline tour soon. So in terms of their lives and their careers, they're all doing great. This hasn't actually derailed any of their careers. They're all doing really well in the wake of all this. But what's more, and what makes this story really end nicely, is that at the premiere event for High School Musical, the musical, the series, on the 27th of July, this picture of Olivia and Joshua was taken on the red carpet. So it appears that after all the drama, the harsh words, the accusations, the albums, they have finally patched things up and become friends. And it seems as if, in the words of Sabrina Carpenter, it's all water under the bridge. And so hopefully, this concludes the 18-month-long Disney Channel love triangle that was Olivia Rodrigo, Joshua Bassett, and Sabrina Carpenter. At least we got some really good songs out of it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Do let me know in the comments what you think of this whole drama. Tell me what your favourite song is out of all the ones we've mentioned today. And yeah, I know this was a bit of a different video for me, but it was something I just really wanted to make. And I'll have something different coming soon. Who knows what it's going to be at this point? I don't even know what I'm making anymore. I'm just vibing. I'm just rolling with it. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.